What is the deadliest weapon a winner can hold? It is not strength, nor wealth, nor even intelligence. It is unpredictability. The predictable man is a slave to patterns. His enemies know his next move before he makes it. But the unpredictable man, he is untouchable. Every decision he makes becomes a storm of uncertainty, forcing others to hesitate, doubt, and stumble. History's greatest rulers, generals, and visionaries understood this truth. When your moves cannot be anticipated, you hold the world in suspense. Ask yourself, are you someone others can read like an open book, or do they fear the unknown side of you? Because in the game of power, mystery is not just an advantage, it is survival. Why is predictability so deadly in the game of power? Because to be predictable is to surrender control of the battlefield before the first strike is even made. Think about a chess match. If your opponent can anticipate every move you make, the game is already lost. They are not reacting to you. You are reacting to them. Predictability is a silent betrayal of your own position, a confession that you can be read, measured, and cornered. In human interaction, predictability is weakness. People crave certainty because it makes them feel safe. When they know what you will say, how you will act, or what decision you will make, they strip you of your most valuable weapon, psychological tension. And once tension is gone, so is respect. Have you ever noticed that those who are always predictable, who always say yes, who always smile, who always forgive, become invisible? They are easy to manipulate because nothing about them requires careful calculation. Now look at the opposite. The unpredictable person injects doubt into every exchange. His silence may conceal fury or kindness. His decisions may favor you or cut you off entirely. The uncertainty forces everyone around him to second-guess themselves, wasting energy, trying to anticipate his next move. This is why unpredictability creates a natural aura of authority. It keeps others off balance, hesitant, and cautious in your presence. History offers ruthless examples. Consider Julius Caesar. Before crossing the Rubicon, he deliberately clouded his intentions. Friends, allies, and enemies alike were kept in suspense. Would he return peacefully to Rome, or seize it by force? That uncertainty paralyzed the Senate, giving Caesar the advantage of momentum. Or take the Mongol leader Genghis Khan, who mastered unpredictability in war. He often spread false rumors of retreat, only to ambush his enemies with devastating surprise attacks. Predictability would have killed his campaigns. Unpredictability made him legendary. But this principle is not limited to kings and conquerors. In business, the predictable competitor is the easiest to destroy. Companies that repeat the same strategies, launch at the same times, or rely on the same predictable models are slowly suffocated by rivals who act unexpectedly. In relationships, predictability breeds contempt. The partner who always reacts the same way, who never surprises, becomes boring. But the one who cannot be fully anticipated, they command attention. Ask yourself, when others interact with you, do they feel tension or do they feel certainty? If they already know your answer, your move, your reaction, you have surrendered your power before the game begins. Predictability gives others the script, and once they hold the script, they direct the play. You are no longer the actor, you are the puppet. This is why unpredictability is not just a tactic, but a shield. It conceals your weaknesses, disguises your intentions, and prevents others from mapping out your limits. By refusing to be predictable, you deny your enemies the luxury of preparation. Every unpredictable move creates a fog, and in that fog, you become stronger. And so the first step in wielding the weapon of unpredictability is recognizing the danger of being predictable. To live without unpredictability is to live exposed naked before your enemies. To master unpredictability is to live in control with others always chasing shadows. But how do you transform unpredictability from a simple habit into a true weapon of psychological warfare? That is the power we uncover in the next section. Unpredictability is not just a quirk of personality, it is a deliberate weapon. When used with precision, it becomes a form of psychological warfare that destabilizes enemies, manipulates allies, and forces everyone around you into a constant state of anticipation. To be unpredictable is to command not only attention, but also fear, because people dread what they cannot understand or control. Why does unpredictability strike so deeply into the human psyche? Because the brain is addicted to patterns. We are wired to seek predictability in order to feel secure. When events unfold as expected, the mind relaxes. But when something breaks the pattern, when your behavior defies the script, people experience confusion, even anxiety. They lose balance. This imbalance is exactly where power lies. Imagine a ruler who is always merciful. His enemies will exploit his mercy knowing they can act boldly without fear of punishment. Now, imagine a ruler who one day forgives treason and the next day executes a man for a minor offense. Which ruler do you fear more? The second, of course, because with him you can never be sure. Fear is magnified by uncertainty. Mercy alone inspires gratitude, but unpredictability inspires caution, restraint, and obedience. History again provides vivid lessons. Consider Stalin. His reign was built not only on terror, but on constant unpredictability. One day, a loyal minister might be honored with riches and titles. The next day, that same man could vanish condemned to exile or execution. Even his closest allies could not feel secure. This unpredictability fractured unity, preventing rivals from forming coalitions. Each man feared he might be next, so each man remained silent. By destabilizing his inner circle, Stalin solidified his power. Or, take the example of the ancient Chinese strategist Sun Tzu. In The Art of War, he advised commanders to be as formless as water, never allowing the enemy to predict their next strike. His principle was clear: when you are predictable, the enemy can prepare. When you are unpredictable, you control the battlefield itself. That lesson has echoed for centuries, applied not only in war, but in politics, business, and even personal dominance. But unpredictability is not only about fear, it is also about fascination. The unpredictable individual becomes magnetic. People cannot stop watching, waiting, speculating. Every move sparks curiosity. What will he do next? Will he turn against us or stand with us? This tension forces others to revolve around you, centering their attention and energy on your decisions. Attention is the currency of power, and unpredictability guarantees you will never be ignored. Ask yourself who dominates a conversation: the one who repeats the same predictable lines, or the one who occasionally breaks rhythm, pauses, and drops a sudden, unexpected remark that shifts the entire mood? It is the latter. Because unpredictability disrupts the flow, it seizes focus. That disruption becomes control. Even in daily life, unpredictability can tilt the balance of power. A boss who always approves requests loses authority, but one who sometimes approves, sometimes rejects, without clear reason keeps employees cautious. A negotiator who follows a rigid pattern is easily exploited, but one who changes tactics unexpectedly keeps the other side off guard. Even in personal relationships, unpredictability determines attraction and respect. The partner who can never be fully read, who surprises with moments of intensity. Mystery or sudden withdrawal commands more attention than the one who is endlessly consistent. Of course, unpredictability must be wielded with precision. Too much, and you are dismissed as chaotic or unstable. Too little, and you fade into the background of predictability. The art lies in balance, consistent enough to be trusted when necessary, but unpredictable enough to command fear, respect, and fascination. Like a lightning storm, you must appear calm one moment and strike suddenly the next. It is this rhythm, calm then shock, that keeps others perpetually unsteady. Unpredictability, as psychological warfare, does not require loud displays or dramatic gestures. Often, it is as simple as breaking expectation at the right moment. The silent pause when people expect you to speak, the refusal to respond when others demand an answer, the sudden generosity in a moment when cruelty is expected, or sudden coldness when kindness is assumed. These subtle shocks unsettle the mind far more than predictable behavior ever could. The true genius of unpredictability lies in the fact that it forces others to constantly calculate, while you remain the one who defines the game. They waste energy trying to guess you, while you conserve energy by keeping them guessing. In this way, unpredictability is not reckless, it is strategic efficiency. You control the tempo of every interaction, and in power, tempo is everything. So unpredictability is more than a defensive shield. It is an offensive weapon that seizes the initiative and bends others to your rhythm. But unpredictability alone is not enough. It must be sharpened by illusion, by making others believe they understand your patterns, only to be blindsided when you break them. That is where unpredictability evolves into true mastery, the art of creating patterns, then destroying them at will. And this takes us to the next level, the strategic illusion of patterns, how the appearance of predictability can be the perfect mask for a devastating surprise. Unpredictability does not mean chaos. The true masters of power know that to appear completely erratic is dangerous because it destroys trust and makes people dismiss you as unstable. Instead, the strongest weapon is not constant randomness, it is the illusion of predictability. You let others believe they understand you. You let them see patterns, and then, at the decisive moment, you break those patterns in a way that devastates them. Why is this so effective? Because the human mind craves structure. People build mental models to predict behavior. They watch you closely collect evidence, and then conclude, I know how he thinks. I know what he will do. That belief becomes their weakness. When you suddenly deviate from the expected, their entire model collapses. They are left not only unprepared but betrayed by their own confidence. Take the legendary General Hannibal of Carthage. For years, Roman commanders believed they understood his tactics. Hannibal appeared to favor certain maneuvers, luring them into confidence. Then, at the Battle of Cannae, he shattered those expectations by encircling a much larger Roman army, with a strategy no one anticipated. His calculated break from the pattern annihilated nearly 70,000 Roman soldiers in a single day. Predictability lulled Rome into arrogance. Unpredictability delivered Hannibal eternal fame. Even Machiavelli himself warned rulers, it is not essential to be seen as merciful or cruel, generous or stingy, but it is essential to appear predictable in your virtues, so that when you break them, the shock magnifies your power. In other words, appearing consistent is a disguise. You give people a mask, they can trust a pattern they can study, and then when you choose to discard it, the impact is doubled. This principle is not confined to war or politics. It thrives in business and personal influence. Consider a company that always launches products on schedule, predictable in its innovation cycle. Competitors prepare accordingly, matching or undercutting their moves. But imagine that same company suddenly breaking its pattern, launching early, or introducing a product from an entirely unexpected field. The disruption catches rivals off guard and shifts the market overnight. Apple, for instance, mastered this art. For years, it followed steady product cycles until suddenly releasing innovations like the iPhone that redefined entire industries. The illusion of routine made the disruption even more powerful. In personal relationships, too, this tactic works. A person who always shows kindness builds trust. But the moment they display sharp coldness, it shocks, unsettles, and leaves a deep impression. On the other hand, someone always cruel is predictable. Others adapt to their cruelty. But cruelty that comes unexpectedly from a mask of kindness multiplies fear. This is why the most dangerous individuals are those who can switch roles, seamlessly appearing consistent long enough to lower defenses, then striking when least expected. Ask yourself, do you ever let others build patterns of you? Do they assume they know your routines, your reactions, your principles? If so, you are giving them the illusion of control. But what if you could take that illusion and turn it against them? What if instead of resisting predictability completely, you constructed it deliberately like a trap? This is the genius of controlled unpredictability. You give just enough consistency for people to relax. You let them believe they can read you. Then, at the right moment, you strike differently. So differently that the shock reverberates long after the event. A single break in a trusted pattern can destroy years of confidence. It plants doubt that never goes away. From then on, they will hesitate before every move against you, wondering, will he follow the pattern or will he break it again? That hesitation is your power. But a warning must be given: unpredictability without balance becomes self-destruction. If you break patterns constantly, no one will invest trust in you. They will see you as chaotic, reckless, even dangerous to themselves. That kind of reputation isolates rather than empowers. The secret is not to destroy all patterns, but to control when and how you break them. Like a master painter, you must first sketch the outline before breaking it with bold strokes that surprise the eye. Thus, unpredictability is not random noise, it is orchestrated deception. It is an art form, creating expectations, feeding them carefully, and then rupturing them at the exact moment of maximum impact. And this art leads us naturally to the next stage: how unpredictability plays out, not only in empires and battlefields, but in the daily strategies of business leadership and human connection. Because power is not only about kings and conquerors, it lives in every negotiation, every workplace, and every relationship. Unpredictability is not reserved for kings, conquerors, or ruthless dictators. It is a weapon available to anyone who dares to wield it, even in the small arenas of everyday life. The difference between those who fade into the background and those who command attention often lies in how well they can use unpredictability to shift dynamics in their favor. Think about the workplace. The predictable employee is easy to overlook. Everyone knows how he will react, always agreeable, always cautious, always following instructions. He is safe but invisible. On the other hand, the employee who occasionally breaks expectations, who sometimes challenges ideas or introduces bold suggestions, gains influence. Why? Because people pay attention when the expected flow is disrupted. That disruption forces managers and colleagues to recalculate. It creates tension, and tension is power. Even in leadership, unpredictability is a quiet force. A leader who always rewards or always punishes creates an environment where subordinates can easily adjust their behavior. They learn the formula, and once they learn it, they control the leader as much as the leader controls them. But a leader who sometimes forgives mistakes, sometimes punishes harshly, and sometimes rewards unexpectedly keeps people alert. That unpredictability instills caution and respect, because no one can take the leader's response for granted. Negotiation is another battlefield where unpredictability shines. If you always follow the same pattern, always lowering your price in the second round, always conceding, at the end, your opponents will exploit you. But imagine walking into a negotiation and breaking your own pattern, holding firm when they expect you to compromise, or conceding suddenly when they least expect it, only to extract a bigger favor later. Each disruption unsettles the other side, forcing them to question their assumptions and weakening their confidence. In personal relationships, unpredictability determines attraction, respect, and even loyalty. A partner who is endlessly predictable, who always reacts the same way, eventually becomes boring. But a partner who occasionally surprises through sudden passion, unexpected silence, or an unanticipated gesture creates intrigue. This intrigue keeps the relationship alive because it prevents the other person from ever feeling they fully control the dynamic. Mystery fuels attention, but there is an art to this. Unpredictability must never become recklessness. If you are unpredictable in every moment, people will stop investing in you. They will see you as unstable, unreliable, or even dangerous. The power lies in selective unpredictability. Choose the moments where it matters most. Let people see a pattern in your behavior, then break it at critical times. The shock will multiply your influence. Ask yourself in your daily interactions, do people feel they can anticipate you? Do colleagues already know what you will say in a meeting? Do friends know exactly how you will respond to a challenge? If the answer is yes, then you are giving away control. But imagine holding back just enough surprising others at the right moments. Imagine the shift in their perception when they realize you are not as simple to read as they thought. That moment plants a seed of respect and fear. Unpredictability in everyday life is not about playing games. It is about refusing to be trapped by patterns others can exploit. It is about keeping control over the tempo of your relationships, your career, and your reputation. Each unexpected move reminds people that you cannot be easily managed and that awareness alone changes how they treat you. The truth is, power is rarely lost in grand battles. It is lost in daily routines, in the silent concessions of predictability. If you can inject unpredictability into your everyday actions, you begin to train others to respect your presence, to pay attention, and to tread carefully around you. That is the beginning of influence. And yet unpredictability also carries a risk. Wielded carelessly, it can turn from power into chaos, from authority into alienation. The next question is crucial. How do you balance the genius of unpredictability with the discipline of control, ensuring you inspire fear and respect without spiraling into madness? Unpredictability is a blade with two edges. On one side, it carves fear, respect, and authority. On the other, it can cut into chaos, instability, and self-destruction. The difference between genius and madness lies not in the weapon itself, but in the hand that wields it. Why is this line so thin? Because people crave balance. They want to feel that even if you are unpredictable, there is a hidden logic behind your actions. If they sense that you are acting without reason, they will dismiss you as irrational. Worse, they will stop taking you seriously. The power of unpredictability is lost the moment others believe you are merely unstable. History offers both triumphs and tragedies of this principle. Consider Napoleon. He mastered unpredictability on the battlefield, moving armies at unexpected speeds, striking from directions no one anticipated. His enemies never knew when or where he would appear, and that uncertainty gave him dominance across Europe. But later in his career, his unpredictability turned reckless. Invading Russia, defying logic and strategy, he crossed the line. What had once been brilliance became hubris, and hubris led him to ruin. Or take the case of Nero, the infamous Roman emperor. At first, his unpredictability made him appear bold and exciting. But as his reign descended into cruelty and madness, burning Rome, killing indiscriminately, his unpredictability transformed into terror without purpose. His subjects no longer respected him. They saw only a dangerous tyrant. And when respect disappears, fear alone cannot sustain power for long. Eventually, even his closest allies turned against him. This is the danger every wielder of unpredictability faces, to cross the boundary where surprise becomes chaos. True power is not about constant shock. It is about timing. A genius of unpredictability knows when to break patterns and when to maintain them. They strike with surprise at decisive moments, not in every moment. Like lightning, their unpredictability is rare, sudden and devastating, not a constant storm that drowns everything. In daily life, the same law applies. A leader who uses unpredictability wisely inspires loyalty mixed with caution. Subordinates respect his authority and tread carefully. But a leader who changes direction constantly, who cannot be relied upon for even the most basic decisions, is not feared. He is ridiculed. People begin to ignore him, creating chaos behind his back. So how do you walk this fine line? By anchoring your unpredictability and purpose. Every break in pattern must serve a clear goal: to gain advantage, to shock at the right moment, to keep others unsteady. If unpredictability becomes habit without intention, it loses its sharpness. Think of it like poison. A small controlled dose is deadly to your enemies. Too much, and you end up drinking it yourself. Ask yourself, do people see your unpredictability as strategy or as instability? Do they sense calculation behind your moves, or do they whisper that you are simply erratic? This perception determines whether you are viewed as a master or a fool. The genius makes unpredictability a mask. The madman becomes enslaved by it. The secret then is balance. Be predictable enough to inspire trust, but unpredictable enough to command fear. Allow people to map part of you, so they relax, then break their map at the right moment. This is the art of controlled chaos. It is not randomness, but deliberate design. And only those who master this balance will wield unpredictability as a true weapon instead of being destroyed by it. In the end, unpredictability is not about being wild, it is about being unreadable. It is not about madness, it is about mastery. And those who master it walk the razor's edge, where others stumble, turning uncertainty itself into a crown of power. Power is not won by those who can be read like an open book. It belongs to those who master the shadows, who understand that predictability is a trap, and unpredictability is liberation. The predictable are easy to control, easy to corner, and easy to defeat. But the unpredictable, the ones who keep others guessing, become figures of fascination and fear. Their silence creates tension, their sudden moves disrupt balance, and their calculated surprises reshape the battlefield of life itself. You have seen how unpredictability works as both shield and sword. It confuses enemies, unsettles rivals, and commands respect. But you have also seen its danger. Too much, and you descend into chaos. Too little, and you become irrelevant. The true art lies in balance, offering just enough pattern for people to trust, only to shatter it when the moment demands. So ask yourself, are you living as someone easily anticipated, or as someone who cannot be cornered? Do others know your next move, or do they fear the possibility that you might overturn the game entirely? In a world addicted to certainty, unpredictability is not just a weapon. It is the weapon of a winner. If you found value in these strategies, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more lessons on the ruthless art of power. And prepare yourself, because in the next video, we will uncover the art of controlled chaos, where unpredictability transforms into an empire of influence.